the title of this video is called Statues of Christ. I'm going to show you 3 statues of Christ that are, each one of them is magnificent. And there's a couple points in here. You know, in order to be sort of successful in life and get the most out of life, you have to know a few things. You have to sort of be able to have judgment, what is good and what is bad. You have to discriminate. You have to discriminate and judge all day long. How do you make a choice about anything? You discriminate between what is good and what is not good, okay? Public schools are designed to destroy you, to tell you don't judge, be more tolerant, don't discriminate. No. All day long you have to ask yourself, what is good, what is bad? What should I do with my time? What should I eat? Where should I go? All right, so anyways, who likes me? Who doesn't like me? Why do they like me? Why do they not like me? You have to be able to figure these things out. In my experience, most of the pros are quite hated and they don't understand that, and therefore they walk into situations where they're just a victim. Okay, so anyways, I want to show you some of these statues. This is the Pietà by Michelangelo, made in 1499 when he was only 23 years old. It's the most beautiful statue ever made. Mary, in a sense, represents his own mother. She died when he's about 6 or 7 years old, and of course he's sad and he missed her. And in a sense, you know, the smaller size of child of Christ relative to Mary represents his idea of the child to the mother. And it's just like endless longing. The beauty of it, it's like sublime, all right? So that's how magnificent that is when he's only 23 years old. Okay, now here is a statue of Christ, and this one is by Gian Lorenzo Bernini, and it was made in 1680. Bernini was considered the Michelangelo of the 1600s. Regular Michelangelo was 1400s and 1500s. Bernini was the 1600s. And, you know, it's magnificent, okay? And now the next one is going to surprise you a little bit. This one is called the Veiled Christ. And this was done, and of course, you know, the Italians are the best at art. The Germans are the best at classical music. You got Bach, Beethoven, Brahms, Handel, okay, Mozart, Haydn. Okay, they're incredible. Schubert. They're the best at classical music. When it comes to sculpture, the Italians are the best. Look at this guy. Look at this right here. The Veiled Christ by Giuseppe San Martino, 1753. And you know what? This is the best picture I could find, but there's way better pictures of it. It's even more beautiful than this. So it's Christ, you know, covered in a sheet, in a blanket. Call it a veil. And there's a symbolism in the idea of a veil. That, you know, piercing the veil is, in one sense, the step between the material and the immaterial, between the earthly and the divine. And wait till you see, if you watch a video on it, or if you get to see a better picture of it, this is an incredibly beautiful sculpture. And, you know, it's got here the pliers. You've got here, you know, the cross of thorns. You can see the stigmata, you know, where the nail went through his hand, for example. You can see the bulging vein on his forehead. Is an absolutely magnificent statue. The best sculptor in the world at that time was Antonio Canova, and he saw this and he's like, man, I would give 10 years of my life to be able to make a sculpture like that. It's spectacular. When you see it up close and from different film views, much better lighting than this, it's an absolutely spectacular. You remember this the rest of your life. Okay, now I want to show you something modern sculpture, just to make a pointer. So this is sculpture, the last 3 things we saw based on Christianity, respect for God. Man is created in the image of God, therefore he too can be a creator. It's a rational God, as it says in the Bible, who created a rational universe. And we praise God when we study his creation, okay? And this idea of we want to create something beautiful, that it is in us to create beautiful things and to be good and to do good things. This is the mentality of Christianity and the Roman Catholic Church in particular, but Christianity in general. Let me just show you now what atheistic Darwinism, modern culture produces. So here's a museum in Rotterdam, and, you know, like a typical modern art museum, they've got terrible things on display. These are statues of feces. So you ask yourself, is this really progress? And I'm telling you, Darwinism, evolutionary biology is fake. It only explains microevolution, not macroevolution, which it pretends to explain. Atheism is just the creation story to bring back slavery and destroy mankind. So you just ask yourself, do you want a society that makes statues of turds, or do you want one that makes statues like those magnificent ones we just saw? Because it's really sort of the popular will that decides these things. And you need to know this is evil. This should not be in a museum. This is an insult to the public, to the city, to the town, to the people. But this is what you get with atheism, because there is no meaning, there is no right or wrong, and it becomes a joke to trick and lie to the pros and rip them off and abuse them. So I'm just telling you, wake up and be aware of how bad this sort of thing is. This is wrong. You know, people bring their children to a museum and they see statues of turds. What does that say to the child? The child grows up to think these adults are idiots, they're morons. I have no respect for their culture, no respect for what they do, for what they're all about. This is the wrong thing to show to people. It really is, and people should be offended by this. You should know what to be offended by. This is offensive.